All right, here we go. Home learning number 3. Starting off with factoring as usual. So I look at this first one, and this doesn't look like the other ones that we've been starting with. This one does not have a number in front of the first term, which means no greatest common factor of the numbers. This has a z, this has a z, this doesn't have a z. No greatest common factor here. This is a trinomial. All right, so all we're going to do is we're going to put our parentheses down. Z times z gives me z squared, and now I have to figure out two numbers that multiply to negative 48 and add to negative 13. All right, well, this one's a little bit trickier. Lots of numbers that can multiply to negative 48. Let's not forget about negative 48 and 1. And since we're multiplying to a negative, the opposite is true too. Okay, and then we have negative 24 and positive 2, which means we have positive 24 and negative 2. We have negative 16 and positive 3, or we have positive 16 and negative 3. We have negative 12 and 4, which means we have positive 12 and negative 4. And we have negative 8 and 6, which means we have positive 8 and negative 6. Now, some of you are going, Mr. Burke, you got it a long time ago. It's way up here. And I know. The reason why I wanted to do this was I wanted to show you that it's not that big of a deal to write out all the factors, and 48 has a lot of factors. The other thing I wanted to kind of point out here is that see how close 8 and 6 are? They're pretty darn close to each other, and that's an indication that you're getting to the end. Like there's no more afterwards, because notice that we start with the two numbers 48 and 1 that are the farthest apart. And as we go down the list, if you do it systematically, the last numbers on the list are going to be really close together. So it's just something to point out to you. But yes, you're right. Turns out that negative 16 and positive 3 multiply to negative 48 and add to negative 13. So my two numbers are negative 16 and positive 3, and that's that. You can check it with double distribution if you want to, or Punnett square, but that's pretty much everything. Moving on. So this one, oh boy, okay, this one looks a little bit different. Let's see what's going on here. First thing I always want to check for is greatest common factor. So let's see. 3, 10, and 27. I don't think there's a number that goes into 3 and 10 and 27 besides 1. So that doesn't work. So it's not factored by greatest common factor. This term has an A, this term has an A, this term doesn't have an A. So I have no greatest common factor here. And with your current skill set, you don't know how to factor a regular trinomial that has a number in front of x squared. So at this point, this baby's prime. And we're not going to factor it. It cannot be factored. It's just prime. Okay, let's move on. Got two Regents exam problems for you here. Number 1, the value of x, find the value of x that satisfies the equation 4/3 equals x plus 10 over 15. Okay, so it wants us to solve, find the value of x that satisfies the equation. That's definition of solution. So this wants us to solve. So this is a proportion. A proportion is two numbers that are set equal to each other. So I'm actually going to show you two ways to do this algebraically. And then I'm going to show you how to do this. Well, I guess the third way is kind of along with the second way. You'll see what I mean. Let's just get to it. So a proportion is solved by cross multiplying. So I'm going to do 4 times 15, and that equals 3 times x plus 10. Make sure you get that binomial in parentheses so that you remember to distribute. 4 times 15 is 60. I'm going to distribute here. I get 3x plus 30, and now I have a simple equation to solve. Minus 30 on both sides. Divide both sides by 3, and there's my solution right there. Found it. Okay, another way. Another way is to look at this and, well, let's just do the multiple choice way. I think that's going to make the most sense. Since we're looking for solutions, we want to find the value that makes this true. So here's an option. You could put 4/3 into y1, and then you could put x plus 10 over 15 into y2. Look at the table and see where they match, y1 and y2. Whatever the x value is where they match, that's going to be your solution. So that's one way to do it. Another thing that I want to show you, and I'm just going to point this out. When I plug 10 into this, look what happens. When I actually plug 10 in, because it's not immediately obvious why that makes the equation true, but check this out. Simplify this. 10 plus 10 is 20. Now here's what I want to point out to you, and some of you may have noticed this already, but I had to multiply 3 times 5 in order to get 15. Well, when you're talking about a proportion, I have to do the same thing to the top. So that's how I know that that's true, because 3 times 5 is 15, 4 times 5 is 20. In other words, this fraction, 20 over 15, it reduces to 4/3. That was a lot of information to solve a pretty simple problem, but I want you to know all these things so that you can apply them when you're on the Regents exam, especially when it comes to multiple choice questions, because those are so important. All right, let's move on to the last one and then be done here. A student is in the process of solving an equation. The original equation and the first step are shown. So here's our original, and then here's what the student did. What property did the student use for the first step? Explain why this is correct. Okay, so let's examine here what changed. 3a plus 6 equals 2 minus 5a plus 7. The student wrote 3a plus 6 equals 2 plus 7 minus 5a. So it looks like what happened is these two terms switched places. The order changed. And what is it when the order changes? You guys are so smart. It's the commutative property. You got it. The commutative property. Now, I don't know exactly what they're looking like when they say explain why this property is correct. I don't know exactly what they want, but I'm going to guess this property is correct because the order changed. And I think they just want you to write that. Ooh, that was a bad spelling of order. Too much. The order changed. I think they wanted you to state that because they didn't want you to just guess. There's not that many properties, commutative, associative. They didn't want you to just guess. So they wanted you to prove that you understood what was going on there. So that's it for number 3. We'll see you tomorrow for number 4.